All right. Welcome back to Correctional Officer Stories with Steve. Today, going to bring you another video. If you haven't yet, drop by Savage Studios channel and check out. He had me on again, and we did another interview. We talked about different weapons inside a prison facility. He talked about some of his experiences, and then I talked about some of the different weapons utilized by correctional officers. So if you can, drop by his channel, subscribe, drop a like, share, and then come back over and continue to rock with me. Appreciate all my loyal subscribers. We're a little over 500, so cool. The goal is 1K. Hopefully we can get there so I can just go live off my phone whenever I want to. You know what I mean? So today I want to talk about some of the different aspects of corrections, right? So once you get through the academy, you get out to the facility that you're going to go to, and you get a couple years under your belt, that's when you can decide whether you're going to promote into like a sergeant capacity role. So if you go sergeant route, the next would be lieutenant, captain, and then like a deputy warden. That you got to have 2 years under your belt, and then you can start to test, which would be a written exam, an oral board. Some facilities do a physical agility. Actually, no, they don't do that anymore. So it's just an oral board, a written test, the oral board. You're placed on the list from where your written test and your oral board was, and they draw off the list. Not everybody makes the list. Now, once you get a year under your belt, some facilities is less than a year, but for the most part, you can start looking into specialty units like the tactical support unit. That's basically the SWAT team inside the prison facility. The same thing. You got to test for it. So you got to do a physical agility. They do an oral board, and then they either pick you or they don't. However, when I worked at Perryville, they didn't do a physical agility test. They might do it now. When I did it, when I was there, they just put you on the team. You filled out, it's a form you filled out, your supervisor signed it, and then they put you on the team. And then some of them got to go down to the academy and go through the actual TSU academy. And that academy is no joke. So, you have to get through that academy to remain on the team. So, academy is no joke. But like at the Lewis facility, you have to do a physical agility test, oral board, and then they pick from there. They either pick you or they don't. Canine positions, another year. You got to do a year. To be honest with you, a lot of that canine is political. It's almost like the good old boy clique for the most part. No disrespect to canine officers, but that's just kind of how it is. However, I do know officers that have got on the canine squad that are not part of the good old boys, but a lot of times it's a TSU officer, tactical support unit officer, that ends up taking a canine position, which is a very serious position. A lot of training to that position. You got to learn different commands in different languages. So they run it just like a police department. Basically, they do all the same shit. They train with the police departments. They get fucking expensive dogs. So you just have to have some time under your belt, a year. You got to be on probation, which is a year. Then you can start applying to that. There is a CERT team. There's a crisis negotiation team. There's a lot of different aspects within the correctional officer or the prison system that you can do. You can become a correctional officer 3, which is basically a programming officer. They do all the programming for the inmates, all the classes. They teach you how to get out and be productive in society. You might be a CO3 rec coordinator, so you coordinate like softball games. If there's going to be bocce ball or kickball or whatever extracurricular activities there's going to be that they're going to allow the inmates to do, that's something you might do. Criminal Investigation Unit, that's CIU. That is a Arizona post-certified position. You will go through the academy, become a full-fledged peace officer, and then you'll start to investigate serious crimes. It might have to do with an officer. It might have to do with an inmate on an inmate assault, death, But a lot of times they're investigating dirty officers and then crimes that are committed within the facility that, you know, it's already an inmate. They might have stabbed somebody. They might have killed somebody. Whatever they've done, whatever becomes criminal, criminal investigation unit then investigates that. So there's a lot of different shit you can do. And I encourage you, if you're getting into corrections, to just not just stay on the yard. Get into something extracurricular. Like K9 is a full-time gig. However, the tactical support unit is not a full-time gig. However, I think now it kind of is. So I think at some of the facilities they're actually on the yards on a rotating basis. So they stay on the yard, as to where before they would only pop onto the yard if the yard went off. Like if there was a riot or a pretty bad altercation or a grouping, then the TSU team was deployed and they would respond to the yard. It would take some time. So now, with the short staffing crisis, the tactical support unit is pretty much staying on the yard. But then again, there's some politics to that. So who knows? But as a supervisor, you're going to be doing most of the paperwork. They'll be dragging them out. You'll be doing the paperwork. So remember, when you promote, you're not going to have to post anymore for the most part, unless you're completely short-staffed. But now you're going to have to now comes all the paperwork, the shitty shift. You'll probably go back on graveyard. If you're on day shift, you go back to graveyard. Like I went to swings, to graves, back to swings, and then to days. And when I started my career, I started on days. So when I got to days as a sergeant, I was in an operations position, and it was cake. I'm not going to say I didn't do anything, because I did a lot of work. However, I didn't have to deal with the shift bullshit anymore. The PREAs, which is the Prison Elimination Act, the 805s, the guys that are girls that didn't want a house and they refused a house and they needed to get off the yard. That's an 805. You had to do an 805 packet and send them out. In a male facility, basically it's then PCing up. In the female facility, there's not the politics and the PC yards. They just go to another yard. You just send them to another yard. So, as a sergeant, you're going to be doing a lot of the paperwork. Lieutenant's a good gig. That's a pretty good gig. So, if you can get to sergeant and then get to lieutenant, it's a pretty damn good gig. So, there's a lot of things you can do. Like I said, don't just stay stagnant and work the yard the rest of your life. Get into a lot of different extracurricular activities. Keep yourself in shape. It'll keep your mind active, and it'll kind of alleviate some of that stress. So keep rocking with me. Going to continue to put the videos out. Like I said, go check out Savage Studios. Gracious enough to have me back on. I appreciate that. Go check him out and continue to rock with him, rock with me. Hit that subscribe button. Drop a like. It's free, y'all. And then make sure you share my videos. And like I said, if anybody can make me an intro and shoot it over to me, I'm really interested in something like that. So if you could hook me up with that, I'd appreciate it. And then we could talk, if you need payment or whatever, that's cool. But like, send me something if anybody's watching this, that if I have any subs that know how to create something like that, shoot it over to me. Peace.